Hello, everyone. Welcome back to episode 26 of Talk of Fame podcast. I'm Kylie, and today we have on actor, producer, vocalist, model, and host Heather Lannan. Thanks so much for coming on, Heather. It's such a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you so much, Kylie, for having me. I think this is fantastic, and I'm just happy to be here today.
Of course, thank you so much for coming on. So, over the last year, we've been stuck in isolation, kind of about where we're talking about before. What is something that you did over the last year that you wouldn't have had time to do before COVID hit?
Honestly, make time to read.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I had so many books and magazines and articles piling up in my saved browsers, like history and books that I've purchased. I kind of went crazy, and I'm a fiction reader as well as sounds so cheesy to say this, but self-help books. I don't know why, but I just love it. Like Brene Brown, she does several different books, but there's her, and then I also started to read more books about acting, obviously, and and another thing too, other than just reading, I would say a big one is taking virtual acting classes and workshops. That has been huge for self-study. So it's
for sure.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's like, what is like if we're at quarantine, what was like your favorite like book to read? If you had to choose.
There's this book called Human Hacking.
Ooh.
And I always mess up his last name, but it's by Christopher, I think it's Hadnagy, and he's a professional hacker of like companies driven by like the client experience. So, and so he finds like the weak points for companies like all over, like big Fortune 500 companies, major businesses. And it's just really interesting how he says that can translate into your daily life. So anything from your relationships to jobs to promotions to your interactions with your family, your spouse, whatever it is, community, everybody is driven by certain things. And he kind of points out that if you feel safe, if you feel threatened, or, depending on a situation that you walk into, there's always a way to navigate it to make sure that it goes smoothly. So it sounds funny, but the very, very beginning of the book, he notes that you have to sign this page that's a contract that says, I will only use this knowledge for good and not for evil.
No way.
I just think everybody should read it, but it's called Human Hacking, and I encourage you to read it. It would probably blow your mind. So
yeah, for sure. I'm actually like a very kind of like bookaholic actually, so like I would definitely check that out. I didn't get into reading until this year, like during quarantine, and so like I haven't had time to read because I've been very busy, and I was like I've never been in the mood to read, but I'm like I need to start getting back to reading. I'm obsessed with reading, reading anything that's like about like their lives or just interesting about some topic. I'm like I gotta read this, and like I just love reading. Like it's good to read, and my parents always mentioned like they told me you should read, that I like it's good for you, you need to learn, like whatever. I'm like no, that's not my type of tea. and then but then this year I was like, my parents got me a book for Christmas. It was about one of my favorite actresses from one of my favorite shows is Andrea Barber from Full House. And so it's called Full Circle about her. It's about her life with dealing with anxiety, her mental health, and her life, about her acting career and all that. And now that I was like, oh, I don't want to waste her money, I'll read it. Like she's one of my favorites, I'll read it. And so after I read that, I immediately became attached. Yeah, I totally recommend reading that. It's so amazing. And I couldn't stop reading. It's one of the best books ever. And so like, that book made me start reading. So I'm like, now I'm just now a bookaholic and everything from that.
Yeah. And if you like nonfiction like that, or autobiographies or just biographies in general, you'd also like the stories not stories, I should say, but these books put out by Carrie Fisher, who's, she Star Wars, but she plays Princess Leia, and her books I mean, like I had no idea how complicated her life was until I started reading about it. I mean, she struggled a lot with anxiety and depression. And so it's always interesting to know that it's not all glitz and glamour. And there's a very dark side to an industry that puts so much pressure on individuals. So.
Oh, for sure. So as we're kind of talking about the industry and all that,
Yeah.
and since we had like a bunch of time over the last year in quarantine, what is some movies and shows that you binge watch over quarantine? Just a bunch of time over this period.
So there's a few developments here. And you know how when you're feeling stressed out, or you go to like your certain shows to like feel better or to be inspired or whatever. So
Yeah.
COVID's really stressed me out. You said that you had your bouts with anxiety. I did as well. And, I was in LA when the world shut down officially. And that was March of 2020. And I flew back on the 16th of March. My job at the time had already moved to completely remote working. And that was definitely a transition for me. So the anxiety hit. And, when you're stressed out, trying to find some footing and having like panic attacks and calling your friends and being like, why can't I breathe right now? And these are fellow actors, friends of mine. I found out I was like, I need to find something that inspires me, but also keeps me smiling and laughing. And that's really important, especially when you're stressed. There's nothing to relieve stress during COVID, during any situation, than making a joke, finding humor in a situation or whatever it is. Yeah. So I can't believe I had never watched this show until 2020, and people will judge me. But I started watching New Girl, and with Zooey Deschanel, binged the whole thing. I fell in love, and I realized how much, I'm not like her in daily life, but I had someone just the other day, text me saying, I never realized it before, but I got a scene from New Girl, and you favor Zooey Deschanel's character, Jess, so much. And he was like, you're not exactly like her, but there's some things. And I'm like, oh God. So that was the show. It's so
people
good.
Always told me to recommend watching New Girl. I'm not gonna lie, I'm probably gonna get backlash, but I've never seen New Girl. But
that's okay. I think it's because you said you're what, 15, 16?
15, yeah.
15. That's okay. It's something it's probably I can't remember when exactly it came out, but it's a little bit older. It's not like Friends era, but it's definitely a recreation of that kind of shtick and the funny haha. But it's not like a cable television show. Obviously, they made it to have a very cinematic but funny feel. Your band of misfits get together and they help each other navigate the intricacies of life, and the eccentricities of each individual person kind of come out like no one's safe.
Oh, for sure.
But it's fantastic. So there's that show that made me feel a lot safer and better because it's about community. And then the other, what was the other show? Maybe I'll just move to like the films that I rewatched. I'm a sucker for multi-stories, interweaving types of movies, and my go-tos were for sure. I rewatched The Holiday. It's one of those things you just can't help yourself.
Yeah, sure.
Gosh, and then I went back and I rewatched some 80s flicks, your 16 Candles, your Ferris Bueller's Day Off, your all of the good classic odes to the 80s. And so just all the good stuff that makes you feel nice, Yeah,
you like the classics. The classics, I can tell. You love the classics.
Yes. Oh, but I also watched The Mandalorian. I got really into all the new wave of stuff on Disney Plus, and I really enjoyed what was it called? Oh my gosh, it's Tom Hiddleston.
Wait, is it like a Marvel movie?
It's one of the Disney shows with Tom Hiddleston playing the character. Oh my gosh, what is the name? I feel terrible that I can't remember it right now.
I know, but I just can't think of it.
The villainous brother in Thor.
Oh yeah.
Green suit, has the horned hat. Oh my, someone is going to hate me in this podcast when they listen that I couldn't remember the name of the villain. Am I going to be bad and look it up right now? Yes. Thor villain. I got this. Loki. Duh.
Oh yeah.
Like, wait a second. I know this one. So
yeah,
yeah.
I'm thinking myself like, what is it called? I know what you're talking about. I can literally picture it on top of my head, like what you're saying. Like, what is this thing called?
But Tom Hiddleston is one of the most beautiful and talented male actors out there that I've ever seen. So I loved watching him play in that.
Oh, for sure. Tom Hiddleston's amazing for sure. And before COVID hit, I literally just got back from Los Angeles right before COVID hit. And so I went there in January because I'm a Dodger fan. And so I went to Dodger Fan Fest
That's awesome.
meet the players. It was my first time I wanted to go. And then this is when kind of COVID was starting to hit, like kind of US. And so when I got home, like it was in late January, I would say, I think. And so my family went next month of February to Florida. And so then 2 weeks later, after we got back from Florida, COVID hit. So I was like, well, no way better than traveling before we went. So we've been stuck at home and I didn't know what to do with myself when COVID hit. I'm like, what am I gonna do with myself? I can't leave this house. It's like COVID is like different because like we are used to like living our daily lives, doing our things, our passions and all of that. And now like we're stuck at home in isolation. So like we didn't know what to do. And people's mental health basically took a toll on everyone, like you said, anxiety, depression. And like I always had anxiety ever since I was a baby. And so this year, I got diagnosed with depression because how bad it was on my mental health. So like definitely took a toll on mental health for sure. Because a lot of people are suffering from anxiety, from many things. And so it's just terrible what's going on with COVID right now and everything going on in the US right now.
Totally.
And so as I kind of mentioned before, you're also an actor. What made you want to start that?
Well, I guess when I was really little, I always like my dad would bring out camcorder and I would get all up in that camcorder. And so I don't know what it was, but there was that. So I had a natural affinity. I definitely didn't mind being filmed. But I guess the conscious choice for that probably started as early as elementary or middle school. I was in choir. I did theater. Let's see. I mean, that was all kind of a huge part of my life, was the theater community and taking drama in school and competing in the plays and doing musicals. And I remember vividly having to wear cutoff shorts and a crop top for the lead in my senior high school musical called Lil Abner, and where I played Daisy May. And it's based upon like a 50s, cartoon. And that was very interesting. I got my first taste of what it was like to have all the focus on you and help the other, actors carry a show. And then of course, college, I did opera, but acting, deciding to go full like film and television side, that was actually when I was in Nashville and I got started. Well, I actually modeled first, which is kind of weird. Just because I knew some people who were photographers who needed, some clothing modeled. And then someone mentioned to me, you should just go for this film stuff and try to be in movies and And it sounded really one of those like, oh yeah, you should try jet skiing if you've never tried it before things. Like they assumed that I could just do anything. And I thought that was flattering. But when I decided to look into it, and I started going to the open castings they had for local universities for short films, that's when I kind of caught the bug. And for about 4 years, all I did straight was I auditioned in did short films and commercials. And within the second year, I think I got an agent. So really what started it is this desire to create. And I think that's what people usually do. It's like they need an outlet. And for me, it wasn't only singing, it was also acting. So that's the long and short of it.
Oh, for sure. Like, what is it like for you to be an model? Because it wasn't like when you decided to kind of do like modeling, like how did you figure out like how am I supposed to do be a model?
Well, like I said, it just kind of was convenient at the time. I wouldn't recommend modeling, but I think to most anybody. But the modeling industry, as far as I know, which I know a little bit, it's very different than it used to be. It's more inclusive, it's more body positive. You still have, the tried and true people who want everyone to be stick thin, but it's just not realistic anymore.
Yeah.
So kind of what drove me to help my photographer friends was just that. I like helping people. So, and of course I got paid to do it, but a friend of mine was like, hey, we need to model, I think it was like leather, like wrist cuffs or whatever for like their jewelry line or whatever. And then it led to, tank tops for this logo company. And then it came to like my friend who actually owned a film production company and advertising for his film production company and their t-shirts. So they just wanted actors to come in who also modeled. And so I said, yeah, I'll do it. So by no means can I say that I'm a professional model, even though I was paid to model. The reason I have model on there is because I can. And I would say, I wish I'd started with this bit that I'm going to tell you, but maybe you can edit it. Probably the most important modeling thing that I've done was when, and this is a great story. My agent at the time, this is my very first agent, had said, hey, there's this hair modeling gig that I'm going to send you out for. And they want you to be there at like 2. So bring your, headshot resume, all that. So I go out there, look cute, on lunch break, whatever. And I walk up to the hotel that it's being held in all these open calls or, what have you, and screenings. And I walk up to the table and mind you, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different ballrooms, all doing different model castings. And I was sent to just one. I walk up and I go up to the assistant. I say, hey, I'm here for the 2 o'clock. I look around, everyone looks like me. I was like, this is not good.
Yeah.
I said, I am not A, a model, or B, wanting to be here because this is just weird. I was highly uncomfortable because I'm not, like I said, I'm not like a model. I don't have professional training as a model. Everything I know, I've been taught by a photographer or what have you. So it was just really funny. And so she was really snippy and she was like, if you don't want to stick around, because I told her, I was like, I've been waiting for 30 minutes now. And she's like, well, if you don't want to stick around, you can leave. And I said, okay, I will. Thank you. And I'll let my agent know how nice you were. And I did an about face because I'm that girl. And I walked out. And as I was walking out to my right, there was another table. And I thought, for some reason, must have been like God being like, go over there. And so I turned and I said, walked up to this other lovely lady, super nice. I could tell she just gave off this really warm, inviting, nice, even maternal, I should say, vibe. And I said, hey, what's going on in this ballroom? And I was like, I'm here, I believe, for this casting. And I was like, I should be on the list. I wasn't on the list. And she looks at the list, she's like, what's your name? And I said, oh, I was sent over by the Avenue, my agency. And she was like, oh, I don't see you on here. She must have been a last minute ad. Go on in. And so I wrote my name down, added myself to the list. I walk in, I sit down, we wait for maybe 10 minutes. And then I hear this person enter the ballroom, and there's probably 100 people, 100 models of all shapes and sizes, which was a good sign.
For
and
sure.
I heard, all right, let's get started. And I was like, who is that? I look over my shoulder and it's Nick Arrojo from What Not to Wear. He was the hairstylist and makeover artist for them for 7 years. And I loved that show. And of course I love Stacy and all of them. And so of course my jaw drops. So what happens is that there's a lot more detail to the story, but to kind of jump to the end, He walks up to me when we're standing in line, because I'm in the group of people that I took a risk here. I'm in the group of people that didn't care what happened to our hair. He walks up to me and he goes like this. He goes, "May I touch your hair?" And I said, "Sure." And he goes, and he turns to his assistant and he goes, "This one." And I was like, and I had like really long hair. It was like down to my butt.
Yeah.
And it's thick. Like right now it's, collarbone length, and it was just really funny. And so I get cast in his show and I'm a hair model. I was like, oh God, I'm a hair model. And he only picks out of like the 100. He boiled it down to 50, then to 20, and then 8. And I was one of the 8. And we show up at the first day, and I find out what's going to be done to my hair. And it's what they call a modern shag. But the other girls were not so lucky. My hair looked really cute, not dyed or anything. It was about this short, but it was like very wispy and looked like something Farrah Fawcett would have done. And you see like all these other girls who have color block in their hair, where it's like one side is like, not even kidding you, this short, like very short, like where your eyebrow meets your hairline, and like dyed yellow. No joke. It was insane.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, he was nice to me.
He's
cut
like,
my hair in
okay,
front
you
of a live
guys.
audience. It was great. So it was
like, I don't like you guys, but I do like her. I want to be in her.
That's like the most fun I've had as a model ever. So it was great.
Yeah, I'd be like, sorry, buddy. You guys will believe I'm the favorite of these people. So sorry. Yeah, oh my God, I love that.
The moral of that story is take risks.
For sure. Take risks, for sure. I love that. So like, not only you are in front of the camera, but you're also kind of behind the camera as a producer. What is that like for you to do that?
It's very different from acting, I will say that.
Yeah.
When I started in my acting school, the Fourth Wall, in Nashville, we all quickly realized that because we were kind of new to this whole scene, that we wanted to learn as much as we possibly could. And that was my motivation, I should say. What's motive? It's my motive. And so I decided to do everything, and producing came so easily to me because I'm type A and I don't mind telling people what to do. And meaning like, I think it's what's best for you. Sometimes I can come across as arrogant, and I've gotten in trouble before, but usually I can anticipate what needs to be done on set. I work well with others, unless, I'm an AD, and an AD, not a producer, usually yells at everybody in the nicest way, like quiet on set, or you're going to die. So, one of those situations.
Yeah.
No dying though. So probably too soon to knock on wood there, but after the whole the rust thing, but it was definitely something that came naturally. But for me, it's a different mindset. So with acting, it's hyper abstract, creative. It's not linear whatsoever. You're taking from your own life experience. You're playing off of a well-developed character that you've been studying, and you know what the story is. And so you're doing that, but as a producer, you're kind of helping pull all the strings. You manage budget, you help everyone stay on task, schedule, you usually help with PAs, production management. And so for me, it came to me easily, but I also realized after a while I needed to take a break from it, because it was such a technical and analytical side of me that it was actually inhibiting some of my personal performances in acting. So I had to find a balance. So that's what it was like for me. It's like a struggle for the balance to get back there. So that's what happened.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's the same thing. People always ask me, like, how do you balance like being a journalist for your podcast and your normal life you usually live every single day? I'm like, it's not really a balance. It says like whoever fits in your schedule, I would say. Yeah. And so yes, it does take a toll on my life. Yes, it does affect my mental health working so much. I would say this is kind of like my job. I would say I don't make money, but it's just like kind of like a job. And so
you're laying a foundation for all of that experience will lead to that kind of reward. In my experience with things, experience leads to opportunity. And if you're ready for the opportunity, then you will have success. So you're doing really great.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's what I always say. Like, as long as you like, it's always good to start at a young age because, like, at least you have experience. If you want to pursue something, then like you should pursue it. Don't let anyone stop you. But like, yeah, like
Full steam ahead.
yeah. So as we're kind of talking about industry and all of that, you were in a independent film called Stay. What was that experience like playing that role?
That was years ago, probably I want to say 17 or 18, but that specific film was one of the first that I didn't audition for in a college university short film setting. It was actually a piece that was purposely meant for festival circuits and competitive, like, endeavors. And so that was something I did independently. And when I say independently, I mean, I didn't get the help of my agent. I didn't get the help of anybody else. I just saw it and I was like, I'm going to do that. And I auditioned, and did you get to see it? Did you watch it?
I saw it a little bit, a clip of it though. I never saw it.
Okay.
I saw it.
There's a link, and if you watch the whole thing, I think it's probably one of the best stories, the best edits. All of it was beautifully done by the team that we had, and the experience on that set was very holistic, meaning everyone was serving the story from the first moment. From the first moment we said, hey, we're going to fundraise to do this. And Brandon Davis is the writer, and he was the actor in it opposite me. And he had a vision that was just something that we could all latch on to, which is a story about loss. It's a story about coping. And then it's kind of like, what's next? How do you move on from that and, try to understand what your life is like when it's missing probably one of the most important people in your entire life. And this story kind of, you drop in on this moment where you're not really sure what's happening, but you're like, there's this conversation happening. I don't know exactly what they're saying. And then there's a whole thing at the end, but I'm not going to tell you because you have to watch it. And
yeah, for sure. No spoilers though.
But it was also one of the first screen kisses I had to do. And that was a lot of fun because we were just friends, but we just went for it. We had never rehearsed the kiss, and we both said, yeah, we want it to be fresh. But what's funny is that the scene is their husband and wife. And so I'm like, it can't look like we don't know what we're doing. So that was fun, and then of course, I also had to deal with some special effects, some blood and things like that. And that was probably the most challenging first day on set, which was I had to lay on concrete in a road that they had careened off, or whatever you call it. And I was on the ground for 4 hours back and forth just to get the shot right with a drone. And so it was a lot, but that was one of the most fun and most meaningful things that I have shot probably in my career yet.
Love that. Does it annoy you when you have to reshoot the same scene over and over again? Does it kind of annoy you? We'll have to how do you feel when you have to over and over again?
I would probably say it doesn't annoy me to do that. Usually I trust the director. If they didn't get it, they didn't get it. Or because if we're both on the same page, which you should as an actor and director have at least sat down for any time before you shoot just to discuss, and if not that, then, you at least take 5 minutes beforehand and say, hey, this is where I'm going to go with this. I'm going to give you a couple of options, yada, yada, yada. And sometimes, you just have to go with it and trust that they know what they're doing. The only time I've ever been annoyed on a set when someone wanted to reshoot something is when I rely too much upon my own because I can't see it, right? I know what the framing looks like in my head if I've seen a monitor from a different shot beforehand, but from shot to shot, things change, they don't always tell you like, oh, they just literally moved a light to make it look better. The goal is they want the frame and the shot to be perfect. So I usually trust them. But the only time I got really annoyed was when, again, I relied upon my own intuition about it. And I thought, oh, that was a great performance, or I was hungry.
Yeah, I usually like when I'm hungry and I'm doing something, I get really pissed off that I'm like, I need a break. I don't care what you say, I'm leaving.
Hunger is real, Kylie. Hunger is so real.
I literally was hangry like 2 days ago, actually. As you say.
What happened? How hangry were you? What happened? Did you bite someone's head off?
So like 2 days ago, went downstairs to my mom's office. She was sitting there watching TV, and I was hungry, and my brother had baseball practice. And so my dad had to pick my brother up from practice. And so I was very hungry. I was watching a movie. I was watching Bridget Jones' Baby, one of my favorite movies. I'm a big Patrick Dempsey fan. I'm idol. He's my hero. And so I was watching it, and I was hungry. I paused it. I went downstairs. I was like, "Hey, Mom, what are we having for dinner?" And she was like, Dad took out something to eat. And I was like, okay, whatever you say. And so I went upstairs. I was like, Dad, what are you getting for dinner? And so he was like, I'm up to you, about to get out to teacher's practice. And so I was like, I'm in the mood for Chinese buffet. And he was like, we can't do that. I started getting so mad that I was giving him an attitude. I was like, I want Chinese buffet right now. I want Chinese. And so I was just getting so mad because I was so hungry that I was like, I need to eat right now. And so I was like, oh, don't worry about it. I made something to eat, just getting out of practice. So I just made SpaghettiOs, made something to eat, went on about my day. And so when my dad got home, he got food, and I was like stuffed in the food. I was like, I'll eat in a little bit. So I was like, I can't wait 2 hours to eat, because I'm not gonna last, or else it'll make me more angry if I don't eat. So
yeah, you kind of feel like your brain caves in a little bit if you haven't eaten. Some people have high metabolisms, and so they get hungrier quickly, more quickly than somebody else. And so mine's usually every 4 hours I feel it. I feel it. I can go 5 to 6 hours, but if I don't have water or a snack, it's ooh. So blood sugar is a real thing. When it dips, your whole mood can change. Your outlook on life can change. No joke.
No, for sure.
Yeah. Sorry you had to experience that.
Yeah, so I get hangry every single day, you can say. And Wednesday was a good day. I was having a good day. Then my mom was like, why are you angry? Why are you giving me attitude? What are you doing? And I'm like, nothing's wrong. I was like, nothing's wrong. Everything's fine. But inside, I didn't want to admit I was hungry.
It's have you eaten anything today?
Yeah. And I usually eat every couple of hours. I'm an eating freak. I love eating. Anything I see, I would eat. I just love food for some reason.
Me too, girl.
And so what is some advice for actors or younger generations that would like to be in the same position as you one day?
Well, I don't think, this is me just kind of speaking very transparently, I don't think that there's any one way to be an actor nowadays.
Yeah.
Literally, you can get there. There's so many different avenues, and you don't have to say I am just going to be a film actor. Don't limit yourself. If it's not a limitation for you, great. If you're just dead set on film, I personally think that for young actors, my very first piece of advice is find out why you like something. Why do you like watching, say, I don't know, 3 Men and a Baby, or why do you really like black and white films so much, or why do you like superhero stuff so much? If find out why you like it. Is it because the story? Is it because they're all beautiful? Is it the quick cuts in the camera that would drive me nuts, but is it that, and I think you have to really figure out why you like something to create something that the world likes. And so, and people love watching people do what they love. People like watching joyful things happen. People like watching other people having moments of like epiphanies or emotional moments. And so I think for young people, it's like, just get outside the box. If you want to act, get into some classes, research the classes you get into before you jump into just whatever is available, read voraciously, and don't limit yourself. I think the biggest thing is when people are like, well, I'm going to get TikTok or internet famous, and then I'm going to like make stuff. And I'm like, don't wait, just do it. Don't wait around. From an older actor, I would say, don't wait around for someone else to do it for you or to create the opportunities. Go out and create them for yourself, like you're doing.
Oh yeah, 100%. I totally agree. But the final question for the interview is: you played some great roles throughout your career so far. What role has like meant the most to you and hit close to your heart?
Well, the roles that have meant the most to me, obviously the one we just talked about, which is Stay, where I play that woman who over time you figure out what's really going on. It's a very emotional film for me. When I read the script, I cried. So that should tell you something. So definitely go watch it. And then the other role I would say that meant a lot to me most recently, a close friend of mine is a cancer survivor, and he wrote this beautiful script, and it's only just now starting to be entered into film festivals. It's called Cataplasm. Cataplasm is a very fancy word for ointment or salve or balm, something healing. And I read this script, and again, it was another one of those where my agent had nothing to do with it. I just kind of wanted to do it because I loved the script. And I think those are the most important things, is when you feel motivated or you desire to do it. It's not like, here's an audition, go for it. And you're like, huh.
Yeah.
So we filmed it. I think we filmed it this year in the spring. And that probably meant the most to me because it hit so close to home for him. And my own mother is a 3-time cancer survivor. And so when you see people go through so much pain, you wonder, like, how do they make it through their day every day when they don't know if they're going to live or die in however many months or whatever, or is this chemo going to work? Like, your whole life changes. And to be on the outside of that, and then in this film, the role that I play again is a supporting role in this film, but and I can't tell you really what happens because it's a festival piece. And it's competitive, so I can't really reveal too much, but I can say that my character is the embodiment and the realization, I should say, what's the word? Personification, I should say, of this person's pain. So I am not an actual person. I am the same person as he is, but I am that personification of the pain that he is experiencing. If I say any more, it'll complicate it, but it's quite beautiful, and it is just about getting through that pain and the terror of thinking you could die, the imminent death of everything. So I don't know, it's and it also deals with like the mental struggle and depression and anxiety and isolation you feel because everyone just goes on with their lives and you're over here with cancer. And that's why I think I wanted to do that so much, is because of how close it hit to home for me and my mom and for him. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like it's good that you said that. Like I had people in my family that had cancer, and my Nana had cancer. I never met her before. Never. She had different types of cancers. I don't know how many exact cancers, but she had ovarian cancer and passed away from it before I was born. And my grandpa died. My grandpa's died from cancer, and it took a very toll on my family for sure, from dying from cancer. And so it's kind of like a lot of people in my family, and I might have it someday. I kind of have the gene from family having it, so I could possibly have it one day. Like
sure.
now. can happen to really anyone nowadays. And so like with cancer is such a horrible word to say. Like it's hurt every time you think like someone got diagnosed with cancer. It's like we always think like, why can't it be me? Like why does that have to be them?
Yeah.
It's like possible it always happen to the good people in the world. And
It
like
does seem like that, but I think the sobering part about it and how crazy it can actually be to influence for good. It sounds crazy to say that, but I think a lot of people find out that it focuses and it helps them put things into perspective, and it helps others put things into perspective when they see people struggling. And it's part of the human experience. I don't think you can escape cancer affecting everybody. I think everybody has been touched by cancer in some way, in some shape or form. So, but that's, I think, why the cataplasm, I think it's going to do really well in the festivals. And so hopefully when and if it's released and you get to see it, Kylie, you'll be like, oh, I feel that, it's almost like an expose on cancer. I can't really say much more than that, but it's intense. It's a very personal, emotional retelling. So
oh yeah, for sure. I definitely want to watch that.
yeah. Well, maybe you don't. Maybe you're like, I don't want to relive that trauma, or I don't want to feel the pain. Some people are going to watch it and be really uncomfortable, but I think that's kind of the point. It's like comfort cancels out creativity. Comfort, creates false security. So that's why it's like we do what we do. That's why we have these conversations.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And that's really one of the reasons kind of why I started this whole thing. Because like if people are going through anxiety, depression, cancer, no matter what you're going through, I just want people to know that no matter what you're going through, there's people in the world that are going through the same thing. You might have family that might have cancer, anxiety, depression. Like basically everyone deals with anxiety in some type of way. And so like that's why I did like cancer kind of hits home for me since I have people with cancer in my family, close friends, family that died from cancer. And so everything that like Patrick Dempsey has his own center called the Dempsey Center, and it's based in Lewistown, Maine. And so it's basically he created this center to help people it's not like it doesn't like it's not like a workplace, but it's help people with cancer that need a place, help their needs for cancer. And like he basically started the whole thing because his mother had cancer from ovarian and had it for a long time, and he basically all started from her, and she suddenly passed away from ovarian cancer in 2014. And so like I sometime in my life, in the next couple of years, I hope to create something for cancer to help people with cancer in some type of way, or gender bias in media. Those are two things I want to help try to do some type of way with the platform. And it's just a horrible thing to think about for sure. Losing someone you love from cancer, or just losing someone in general, is just a horrible thing.
Well, that's very honorable. If you get a chance to visit the Dempsey Center, would you do it? Would you just to go check it out,
Yeah, I would. If I would love to work there. Anything I would do to help Dempsey Center or people with cancer, I would totally do it for sure.
You'd be good at it.
Anything I can do, any way to help, I would totally do it.
It's beautiful.
And so I just want to thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to come on. It was such a pleasure speaking with you. I can really speak with you all day. Thank you so much for coming on. We have to speak soon, 100%.
Absolutely. And thank you for having me yet again. This is great. And I think what you're doing is fantastic. And it's only going to go up from here. I have a feeling I'm going to check back in on you in a couple of months and be like, she interviewed who? I'll be like, what? I knew her when, So.
Yeah, you'll be like, oh, my friend's a celebrity now.
Yes.
You'll be like, oh, I know this famous journalist.
Yes, but I do hope for you that you can fulfill these dreams and these aspirations that you have, and stay in touch. I will support you as well. So absolutely, girl.
Thank you so much, girl. It means so much. I can't wait to see all that you do, and can't wait to see that film. I'm very excited to see it. Give me some details once it gets closer, and I'll watch it for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kylie.
Of course. We'll speak soon. Bye.